Good evening, everybody. Okay, everything's plugged in. Everything. I was in a rush tonight. Um, I'm cooking supper, and it was a more elaborate supper than usual. It was hamburger steaks in a crock pot with orange juice and gravy and onions and fresh mashed potatoes and squash and French cut green beans and having to have all of it close enough where I can run, get the wife, get back, do the final prep, play it, us getting to eat, whoop it down, and then get her taken care of, da 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 da, and me out here to do this. It's been a run for the last hour and 20 minutes. Woo! Good evening, James, Tiny Titan. Hello. Tony, good evening, sir. Herbert, hello. Good evening, Bear. Woo! Tony, really like the knife. Took it out and played with it. I did a real introductory, real quick. I'll do an in-depth detail review later on. But right now, it's just an introduction so they know what to send my videos. But yeah, very happy with it. I think it's a very good feel knife. Captain Bart, good evening. Worm Wrangler, good evening. Gray Wolf, I don't know. It might be a delay or something because you're so far north. Could be that. CJ, good evening. JB, hello. JB Phillips, hello. Jonathan Gable, doing pretty good. I'm full right now. That's about it. Chad, hello. Tim Frank, hello. David Smith, hello. Kenneth, hello. Tony York, hello. Gulf Coast Pine Belt. Tuning in from the Ozarks, Boston Mountains. Doing good. Oh, Herbert, there's a knife show in North Carolina. That's cool. I used to go through Raleigh a lot back in my truck driving days. I was in Raleigh at least every other month for a day or two. Going through there, I had a lot of the company I worked for. There was a military contract hub there that they would contract us to build it and then bring it to them. And they are taking it overseas somewhere else. And it was something point, like Data Point, Dawn Point, something like that was the name of the company. But I had to be up there and deliver to. I can still see their dock in my head. James Singer, we need Mark Huff to design a curved bullet for the 36. I think he should. I think he should take the Johnson & Dow and shrink it down just a little bit, make it a 380 instead of a 390, and I think it would actually work better. But he goes from historic accuracy. I understand that. Chuck Miller, good evening. Solo Edge, hello to New Zealand. Hope y'all are having a good winter down there. We're having a rough summer up here. Yeah, Gray Wolf, some of them will. You can take if it gets bad, here's the thing to do with it. Take on the loading lever, pull the sliding latch down a little bit, and tap out the pin. Don't take it completely out. Just tape it down where it's flush, where you can pull that lever out. And what you're going to see, it's going to be shaped like that. There's a groove for that pin to go in, right? Take you a small jeweler's file and deepen that down a little bit so it sticks out a little bit further. Then you take and you pull a little spring out of the loading lever. And I used to drop a small shotgun pellet, bigger, just big enough to be bigger than the spring so the spring can't push past it. Down there to the bottom is a spacer. And then put the spring back on. It would tighten that up and hold it tighter. Didn't matter what I was doing on, whether it was an 1860 or whatever, it would close it up, make it grip tighter, and keep it from dropping so easy. Cody, good evening. Thank you very much, Kentucky Prepper. Justin, good evening. East of Bray Road, good evening. CJ, good evening. Eric Vader, thank you very much. James, hello. Yeah, the Remingtons, a lot of times you got to open it up just a little bit to make it fit a little bit better. Chuck Miller, it is not a gathering, but yes, we're going to be camping out the first full weekend of October out at Geneva State Forest. It's not officially a gathering. It's just anybody wants to show up can. And several of my friends had said they want to do something in the fall. I went, okay, we'll get together in the fall. So it's not officially a gathering. Just if you want to show up, come on, we'll be there. It's supposed to be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I may be there a little early. I've got people coming in from a distance. We shall see. But it sure ain't going to be a week-long event, so don't be showing up the Saturday before. Because I've had that happen. I've had people show up a full week ahead of time. So, yeah, Gray Wolf. You got what I do is I take a stick and I run the length of the chamber and mark it. And then I compare that to a powder measure gauge, how deep it is, so to speak. And I'll lay the rum ball up there or the conical up there and see how much is left. So this is a total capacity of 40 grains, let's say, or 20 grains, 30 grains, whatever, say 30. Total capacity of 30 grains, and the ball takes up 10 grains. So maximum would be 20 grains. So I'd start at like 15 and inch up just a little bit. I felt it like, oh, too much. And consider that a maximum full. Wicked Viking, thank you very much. Jonathan Frisbee, good evening, sir. Hope you're doing well. Homemade Sour for Light, good evening to you. Uh-huh. Keep all, they got a 62. Those are nice. Woo, I'm still sweating. Wolfing that food down at high speed and put a little bit of pepper in it. It's not, I don't eat hot stuff, guy, but I put a little extra black pepper in it. And because the last time I cooked something, the wife had said it needed a little bit more seasoning. Well, due to my heart thing, I just don't season nothing. So I thought, okay, I've been real good. Everything's on in the green lights. I'll season up something. So I put pretty bit more stuff in it, and I'm sitting there sweating like a pig. So I think I went too over the top on the peppers. Gary, yeah, 105 in Texas. It was close to 100 here. But we got a cool front literally as I speak pushing down on me now. And they're expecting tomorrow to get rain in, but it should dry the air out. That's what I'm hoping. Because once the humidity drops like 80 something percent down to like 50%, man, it feels great to us. I mean, you can just walk around then and go, oh, it's hot. No, it ain't. You know, I'll show you what hot is. But it was pretty bad. You go out there and you go to breathe, and it feels like you're wearing a mask. The air trying to go in and out of your lungs because it's just so humid and thick. You literally feel it inflating your lungs. And your lungs don't have pain sensors or it hurt too much to breathe, but you can feel the pressure of it actually flowing in and out because it's that humid. Away in the wilderness, hello. Sports 183, hello to Cleveland. Gordon, Blackie, could you use two underquilt in the winter instead of just making the hammock lower to the ground? Yes, absolutely. The reason for putting it so low to the ground and putting padding underneath was in fact of not having to carry another underquilt. So bulk, shape, etc. And I try to over prepare for cold winter camping. But if I realize it's going to go way beyond what I thought it was, that's going to have to do these other things. But yeah, you can just carry another underquilt or add some other warming way to do it. Woo, JB, yeah. 73 in the midday, yeah. I'd love to see 73 in the midday right now. Shane, yes, sir, you have. You've been in Vietnam, you've been in Iraq, you know. They actually did a black and white cartoon during World War II talking about how hot it was in Iraq and Iran because we were sending supplies to the Soviets through Iraq and Iran in them days, and they were talking about how hot it was over there, which they made it look like it would melt a truck, and everything else. But it's one of the hottest places on earth, that part of the world over there. In Vietnam, you understand humidity too. Yeah, 101 North Pensacola. Yep, you're right down there in it. But hey, it's August in Alabama in the South. We expect it to be horrible this month. Now, if it was in February, I'd be upset if it was this hot. But I expect it to be horrible. But hang in there. We are 6 or 7 weeks away from the first cool snap. 6 or 7 more weeks, and it'll be cool again. Just hang in there. This is like our guys up north that talk about waiting for the ice to break and their long winters, our long summers. We're sitting here right on that edge. It's so close you can almost smell it, but it ain't here yet. We just got to wait for the heat to break, and about 6 to 8 weeks, 6 to 7 weeks from now, it should break. It should be somewhere in the 1st of September. It should break, and we should have a cool day. And that's what I'm holding on for. Point Survival. Good evening, sir. It's 7 o'clock and 91 right now here at my place with 85% humidity. And it's 88 in Southern Ohio. But y'all got some humidity up there too for that lake. Tony, enjoy them. Well, that's one thing I do like about up there in your part of the world, Indiana, Ohio, and stuff like that, is it cools off at night. We don't get to cool off. Y'all's daytime high will be comparable to us, but at night it'll drop down, high 50s, other 60s. You're 20 degrees cooler than we are at night. I've seen it 88 degrees at 4:30 in the morning here recently. So yeah, with the humidity, you go out to camp out and you just lay there and sweat all night. It never cools off. Eric Bitter, Blackie, the WC knives, other than your Blackbird, what is another choice of knives do you prefer? I really, really like the NK. I really like the Matt Mercer's knife, the one that he got William to make. I really like that one. None of them are bad knives. Really. I have never found a dud yet in all of them. So that's what I look at. Or the Woodsman, I really like. And I'm not up on all the names of them, to be honest with you. I need to be, but that would be my choice. I like the neck knife. I like the one that I can't call the name of, Matt Mercer's knife. I can't call the name of that right. I really like that one. Of course, the Blackbird I got, and then the WCSK. If you're looking for put in a vehicle, one thing do all, that'd be a good one as well. If you like big knives, if you like the small one, that God, what was the name of it? I can see it in my head. The one that Hope stole from me. She used it for a kitchen knife now. God, I can't remember the name. I'm sorry. It'll come to me in a little bit. Gordon, yeah, sleep through the day, fish at night, and get to work. Got you. Yeah, Tony, y'all do get a bigger drop at night than we do. Benton, yeah, I'm hearing thunder right now. I got a line about to cross me. So if I suddenly disappear, guys, it's probably internet went out. You probably won't. This doesn't look like that kind of storm front, but I'm hearing thunder right now. So that line was supposed to get here about 7:30. So we shall see. Ace, hello to North Georgia. Huh. Yeah, Gray Wolf, I hear you. Dark and hot. Gary, very true. Land is not cheap anywhere. Well, now, relatives, you can come to Alabama and pick up a plot of land a whole lot cheaper than you can go somewhere else. Now, my knowledge is a little off by a couple of years, but I know back around 2000, no, excuse me, 2020, I meant to say, back about 3 years ago. I went with a friend of mine, and we went out in the country to Covington, Connecticut County, and stuff like that. And we were finding 5 and 10 acre plots out in farmland that had an old farmhouse sitting on it, and they wanted like 42,000, 50,000 because it was an old 1900s house. Well, yeah, what you do is you go buy it, and then you get rid of the house and put you a nice double wide on it or something like that, or fix up the house. There's several people over that I know that've done that. They've come in and built it up to be like a hunting lodge or something. And a lot of those old houses can easily be brought back because they are so well made. Yeah, they're old, but you got real solid walls, real solid floors, and everything else. It's meant to last a lifetime. And so they'd come in and just resheet rock it, do this, do that, put a modern heat pump, add some modern plumbing into it, and for say 80,000, they'd have a very nice house on 5 acres of land. So depending on where you go. Nessie, that's it. Jonathan Frisbee, the Nessie, that's it. Thank you, sir. Baxter, yes, sir. Alabama does have some heat. Yeah, curse you, James Bender. Yeah. Crow, this is a Boy Scout Explorers Scoutmaster hat from the 1990s. I've had this particular hat since 93, I think, 93, 94. And it's a fully crushable felt hat that springs back. And I think it was like $20, $25 a piece. You can still find hats like this if you look around, but you want crushable felt. What you want. This has just got a few decades of use on it. And when you look inside of it, that's kind of like what the original color was. It's a lot darker than it is now. But had this thing for a long time. Oh yeah, you're talking the grape one. Okay, K-Town. Blackie, what's your favorite size of cast iron Dutch oven, and what's the best way of hanging it over the fire? My favorite, if it's just me or one other person, is a number 8. That normally makes more than enough to feed 2 adults. It's also good size for baking and doing that type of stuff. A number 10 is better for like a 2 or 3 person family where you bigger eaters, get a number 10. Then 14s are when you're cooking for the camp. If you're wanting to do something like for the church groups or something like that, get a 14. But I have a deep, it's that deep Dutch oven. And an 8, I got a standard 10, a standard 8, and then I think I still got, I may have got rid of, I had a 14. And my favorite way was the 3 irons you put in the ground, 2 slide in, 1 crossbar, and hang them by adjustable trammel. That's my favorite way to run one over a set of fire or something, or just have coal set it in the coals depending on what I'm cooking. And I like to do stacks where I'll get my coals going. I'll put my first set down, put coals on top, put the next set on top of it straight up, and stack them up, and actually cook multiple things at the same time that way. uh, Western Ram, not usually. Usually, when you open up now, the standard buck 110, that blade usually is solid, and so if you've got a little bit of wobble, I'd swap back. It should not wobble out of the box. Usually, when it click, it's solid, and they're not a 16th. No, not nearly that kind of. Good night, Tony. Have a good night. Oh boy, a way in the wilderness. You can only have one piece of military surplus gear. What is it? U.S. Army canteen cook set. With a canteen cook set, the canteen, stove, spoon, cover, canteen. I can take care of myself. Wicked Viking, Bucky, a few weeks ago, I brought up taking my miss camping. Want to tell you that the second night when we lay down, she started a conversation with, next time we should. Awesome. You're making headway. Make her comfortable. Make her feel involved where she's not just going out and sit down. Yeah, that's way to do it. K-Town, Blackie, any good recipes to use in a pie iron? Used to be pie filling and cream cheese when I was a kid. I really don't right off the top of my head. I was meats, vegetables, breads. That's what I focused on in my upbringing as a cook. My mother was one that baked pies, cakes, and stuff. So that was sort of her genre. And so I can make cakes. I've done that. But pie and stuff, I make apple pie, stuff like that, just apple pie, butter, and brown sugar. Um, that's about it. Now, that just not my forte in it. I can do enough to be dangerous. That's about it in pies. Wicked Viking, even better. Get good headlamps, plenty of light, have backups in case it goes bad. You do not want a bad experience at this point. Get her to enjoy it, point out, show things. Get that app on your phone that when you look at the sky, it tells you what the star constellations are. Anything to make it interesting and fun. Wolf HD, what size bank line do you prefer? For the vast majority, number 36. I do like the lighter, smaller lines for like whipping and everything, and I use like a number, I want to say it's a number 12 bank line. I like to put one to spiral around my tent stakes to make pre-made up guy lines where you just hook the line to the stake and go up to the tent and hook it or toggle it, scroll it out and stick it in the ground, and that's how you do it. It's smaller diameter and it's well over 100-pound breaking string. And so I'm not going to ask my tarp to hang more than that. So that's what I usually use. Sanford Brown, hello. Remax, good evening. Go Bra 2. Do I have a favorite fiberglass cane pole for fishing? I've got one I've had for many, many years, and it's just a standard 10-footer. It's very small diameter, and I've had literally that pole since the 70s. I have caught a ton of brim and bluegill off that thing. but it's, it's much bigger than a finger and about that long. I think it's like 28 inch, 24 inch, 26 inch, something like that, collapse. And I just took it to the side of a pack to take it. Those Tenkara sets look really, really good. But I wonder about all those small little connections, uh, that every time you make a connection, you make a point where it could get weak. So they seem to be very well made, but I like that one for mine. M65 field jacket, good choice. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. Wicked Viking, get them up high. Bushcraft with the Preacher, good evening. Beast of Bray Road. I'm listening to you at the same time. I'm doing a donut paracord. Awesome. Best way to transport raw quarters build. Pull out and cut it for whatever you need. That way, when you read that pack, you know exactly what that is. That's not a hank to anything. That is a raw that I can cut whatever I need to make. Praise Razor. I'm glad you do. There's going to be more coming with that for the ground pounder series. We'll be doing one. I'm going to expand it just a little bit to include a little bit of hammocks in there as well. And the one I'm planning to post on Sunday is how to take a Army poncho liner and make it into an underquilt to go on to one of the easy travel hammocks that you'd carry along. I did back in the day. I did it with a mesh hammock originally, and I'll show a mesh hammock, but show it fitting onto a thin parachute-like nylon hammock. And it's just a way to give you a little bit more comfort in the weather. You're going to be carrying a poncho liner anyway, so it works very well. Corba, have you ever, excuse me, any made any cane pole fishing videos yet? Look forward to see them make them. I said I was going to do it this spring, and I just got wrapped up in everything. I'm going to try to do that this coming spring, is get some people, go out to the lake and do a fishing camp out where I'll bring in the canoe and we'll just spend the weekend fishing and get some footage of how to cane pole fish and drop lines, tight line, and all kinds of tricks that I was taught, and see what I can pass on with that. Way in the wilderness. Only been camping and outdoor stuff for a few years. Started filming this year. Any advice for filming? It's a ton of work. It is. Try to have the light from your back whenever possible, because otherwise the camera is going to be overwhelmed by it, and anything in front of it is going to be dark. Now you can do this if you want to be in silhouette. Make sure you brightness behind you, and then you'll be in silhouette if you're looking for effect. If you're trying to do get nature and stuff like that, it is far easier to take a fairly wide shot that once you get it into editing, you can shrink it down and get it a little tighter than it is, because I don't know how many times I've gone to shoot something, I'm tight in on it, and it jumps right out of focus, and I'm chasing it. So get a little wider out, give yourself a little bit more room, and set up your stuff ahead of time. If you want yourself coming in and out, set the camera up, hit the go button, count your steps back, stop, hold up your hand, do a count, drop your hand, do a mental count of 1, 2, 3, and start walking. Same thing for talking or whatever. It gives you room to edit, where you can chop off all pieces and make it look like it flows together a lot better. Good night, Waypoint Survival. James, good night. Thank you for dropping in. Will Ames, good evening. Will Ames, don't worry about it. Most of my autocorrect's most of my typing is pretty ridiculous. So I'm running faster than I'm spelling most of the time. About yeah, that sniper veil really does help cool you off. Like I said, when you get real bad, wet that thing down, drape it over your head, and just put a void in here around your face and breathe that cool air coming through it. It's like you're breathing air conditioned air, and that'll help cool your lungs and bring your core temperature down. Tennessee Smoky, do you still carry your paracord in those donut bundles? Do you have a video in your library of how to store those in the donuts? Yes, I do somewhere. And I've been asked here recently, and I plan on trying to do it first a week of going back to my playlist, but there's 1,300 videos, guys. And take and make a knot and cord playlist and try to pull out how to make donuts, how to make all these other things like the ridge line, how to make the cinch strap, how to make bushcraft zip tie, how to make a soft shackle, and all that. Put it into one video set, one playlist, so y'all can go through it and find it. I'm gonna try to do that because I know I have showed at least 2 times in videos of how to do the donuts, and I store them by just running another cord to the middle of it. When you get to where I want to stop, I just that last loop I loop it through twice and pull it tight. I didn't want to travel that way. And then I have like the donut of this kind of cord, donut of that kind of cord, donut of that kind of cord, and I just run a line through like a soft shackle and hang them. And that way I can spiral around to whatever I want and pull it off while it's on it. It'll just unspiral. And then I can hook it back and leave it attached. Gordon, I have a Grail and a canteen set. How can I save on weight? Well, the Grail is going to give you the water, definitely, but it doesn't have a high capacity. And the canteen, if you're not carrying a canteen cup, etc., now you could substitute around and get a hydration bladder or some other way to carry it and eliminate the canteen, but still have a something you can put water in and drop down that bulk. Unfortunately, it's just a fact that water's heavy and we need a lot of it. So, Gary, Becky, you need a fishing license where you are to fish. Yes, Alabama State requires fishing license. You can get them online from outdooralabama.com, and you can buy a 7-day permit fishing for a rate, and you just print it off at home and bring it with you. Or a lot of people just put it on their phone. And if the game warden comes up, there it is. You know. And I have more than once known about game warden show up and somebody's over there feverishly typing on their phone to buy a fishing license while the game warden's walking up, and he'll go, here you go. So I know for a fact that's happened more than once. Listen, Blackie, don't know if you got my email. Hope you can do a video on building and transporting a reasonable sized bedroll. I know I did several videos on that years ago, and I will put that on the list and I'll do one this fall. We'll talk about bedrolls and stuff like that, but I'll see what I can do. Wicked Viking. Best way to hang loose bank line. It seems too sticky for donuts. I have done a donut with it. Like you said, it doesn't want to come off easy. I actually just coil it up. When I've got a loose piece of bank line, I just do the spiral around my finger and hook it in the middle because it is so sticky it doesn't unroll in the pack easy. And it's just easier for me to do that, unspray, and then just hook it between my fingers and just spiral it back out. What I do. The very advantage of it being sticky is also the disadvantage of us whenever we're trying to store it or whatever. So, Benton, have you ever tried the slime back tube patches for small holes in your tarp? They also are good for patching hydration bladder posture. Absolutely, they're fantastic. We've used them to patch swimming pools, air mattresses, everything. Um, but I warn everybody, make sure your material is flat and then put it down and roll it, because if you stick there's a crease in it, you'll tear the material up trying to pull it back up. It's like super glue. Once it sticks, it's there. And those slime back patches work good in a lot of things. Randall, hello to West Virginia. Thayer Jacobs, Blackie, have you ever done a friction fire with a bamboo friction saw? Yeah, where you take the split piece of bamboo and cock it up on an edge up here on the top. You take the other half and you roll it so that it's like that. And down here on the bottom, and you put on the inside your tinder, put a little notch, you put it up there, you put your thumb down on it, holding your tinder down, and saw it back and forth on it and generate a coal in there. I've done it like that. We have bamboo in the South, but it is not common and easy to find anything of any size. We've got tons of river cane and stuff, but it's smaller diameter. And so I've built a fire with that. I found a source and found a hunk of bamboo big enough to do it, let it dry, and utilized it and did it. I don't know if I did it on video. If I did, it'd been about like 2009, 2010, something like that. I've even done a fire plow before. And actually, I have more success with a fire plow than I did with the bamboo because I'm in such a humid area. If you'll notice from my videos, I don't stress a lot on friction fires because I'm in such a humid area. You'll work like a dog and you'll get the cold and you'll watch the coal because there's so much humidity in the air, it actually puts the coal out. I can do it in the winter pretty easy, but summertime and this high humidity and you're sitting there going like that and sweat is raining off of you as you're trying to do it. And you're weighing your tinder down with sweat trying to generate a coal. So it's I try to never be without a lighter or some way to make a fire other than having to rely on the primitive methods. But yeah, I have done that kind of stuff. Yeah, travel light, freeze at night. True. Go Broad. Do you bring walkie-talkies when camping? I have whenever I was with a hunting party or something like that where we were going to be on different sides of a ridge or something like that. But as far as a standard, no, I do not. I know there's a lot of people who are ham radio operators and everything else. They go everywhere with a radio. And that's fine, But I use walkie-talkies when we're doing something that's going to require that kind of communication. Especially when back in the day we were running down a cow or something got out, or somebody's dog or horse has gone missing and all of us are fanning out. We're using CB radios and whatever, coordinating, trying to locate something. Jim Stewart, yes. This month I will be doing another run of the Nighthawks and the Blackbirds. It'll be probably the middle of the month. I've talked today. We're fully on schedule. So I figure about the middle of the month, about 2 weeks from now or something, the bags and all should start arriving to me and I'll be shipping out. And as soon as that happens, I'll announce another run. And if you'll go to Down in Dirty, there's an extra N, so Down an extra N, Dirty Woods with an S, craft at gmail.com. I will say, add me to the list. I'll be on the list. And when I know that we're ready to go, I'll contact everybody on that list and say, here's payment information, and you jump in and go ahead and lock yours in. And then after I've given everybody 4 or 5 days a head start, that's when I'll do my video to announce everybody else that we're about to do a run. So if you get on the list, you get a head start. But let me say this again, I don't mean it to be mean, but when you pay, you lock in. Because I send you an email don't mean you've locked in. And I've had people that have requested, I've sent them a heads up, you're on the list. Okay, here's the time, here's the information. And then 4 months later, so I'm ready to pay now. Is my bag ready? You got to pay it to lock it in place, because I got to take the money and hand it off to the manufacturer. So when you pay, you lock it in. You ain't paid, you ain't locked in yet. Hey, Night, good evening to South Georgia. How you doing? Oh, Bro Johnson, don't worry about it. It's life. If you've always been on time, you ain't never had a life, as far as I'm concerned. And if it was that important that I'd be here exactly to the second to the dot, we should have scheduled it earlier than this. Fish Gold, too. Good evening to Illinois. Or is that Fish Golf? Fish Golf, I'm sorry. I think. Yeah, Shane, Alabama will allow you, if you're on the bank with a cane pole, not a rod and reel, with live bait like worms, crickets, or something, and you're in the county that you live in, your fish that you don't need a fishing license. Your driver's license is good enough, proof of residency. But if you're using a rod, going to be in a boat, going to use artificial lures, or going to be outside your county, no, you got to have a fishing license. And that's to allow grandpa to take the grandkids down to the creek behind the house, without having to go and pay for it. So. Okay, Baxter. Blackie, I'm in the school 44 over the 36, 12 gauge over 20 gauge, weight negligible over the end result. What school do you subscribe to? Money is also okay. I have both 36s and 44s. Each one has a different job. I prefer a 36 for small game like rabbits and bunnies, simply because the 44 makes too big a hole to begin with. I shoot a 20 gauge more than everything else because I usually shoot at very close range. And so when you look at the payload of a 20 gauge, which is 7/8 of an ounce, and the payload of a low end 12 gauge, which is 1 ounce, same size pellet moving at exactly the size speed, only thing you're gaining is about 12 pellets. So 20 is no shame to the 12. Now, when you start getting range distance, yes. And that's where the 12 gauge comes in. But again, I toted a 10 gauge for a lot of years, and I'll make that 12 gauge whine and cry because I can reach out there at 80 yards and take dove. With that sucker, a full choke double barrel 10. And with a good load, I could reach out 80 yards with that thing. It was coastal artillery, but you don't want to feed it. And I carry a 20. I grew up on a 20, but I do own 12s. So I look at what's the job, and I have a big enough assortment to play it in. I love my 44s. 45 Colt, 44 Special, 45 ACP. It just depends on what's the job we doing and what I'm toting. I want a well-rounded education for as many different types. 22 is not to be sneezed at. I feed myself quite well with a pump action or a bolt action 22 long rifle, big and small game. So it's just what you're trying to tote and what's the conditions we're in. Because out in the wide open, like Kansas, yeah, 12 is going to be a better choice by far because that big wide open range. You can't get any close to anything. You got to be far out. Or where I'm at, a lot of times I can take you places where we hunt where you're seeing in feet. You can't see nothing, 10 yards out because it's like this, you know. So unless it's running out in the middle of the pasture, no. So it's just what you're going to go with. Bruce, good evening to Wyoming. Mitch, Black, what kind of sharpener do you use for your knives? I have a whole ammo can full of all kinds of stuff. But here lately, what I've been playing with more than anything is something like get at Walmart is one of these. It's got two kinds of diamond hone on it, and they come off. They're held in place by a magnet. And inside of it, you got a wrench for taking broadheads and stuff off. But it's got good angles to sit up, start on. It's got a leather strap on the back of it, and then it's got we turn it and have a ceramic steel, and then you've got another little small strop right there. So that right there, I think this is like 17, $18. Quick and handy for a general purpose. But then again, like I said, I've got a whole set, a whole big box. It depends on what I'm trying to do and just what I'm trying to sharpen. I use a file for doing crazy things, axis stuff like that, and then I'll touch it up at the end. Use a puck, kind of touch it up. Same thing with a machete. I'll use a puck for a lot of that, or a file if it's pretty dinged up. And most of my knives, I will hone rather than sharpen. I never let them get truly dull, and so I will keep them going. But that's been the subject. The latest thing of choice has been that. Squib, knock it. Not really. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Go ahead. He makes his money by getting people to comment, you know. And so if I can make you mad and you get mad comment, he makes his money, you know. And if you look at his playlist, it's pretty obvious that's what he does, you know. Commentators and mudslingers, that's how they make their money. Go ahead, make money. I'm human like everybody else. So thank you, Eric. Michael, have I ever used a rabbit throwing stick? Yes, sir. When I was young, I did. I walked down fence rows with them. And actually, an old hatchet handle, long axe handle about that long, that I would use to throw, and I'd whack rabbits and stuff in the head with it, and got pretty good with it. And yes, it will harvest small game pretty regularly. Jeff, good evening. Can you get replacement plates for those magnetic bits? I have not looked on their site, but I'm pretty sure there would be something like that would be replaceable for that knife sharpener. Oh, okay, got you. Sorry, Baxter didn't get that part. Mark, I'm doing well, thanks. Yeah, and I'm trying to stay cool, trying to stay out of the heat. But hey, it's August. We expect the heat right now. Tiny Titan, I'm not in the business, but thank you very much. There used to be a guy that went to all my local gun shows. That's all he would sharpen knives. He had all his stuff set up, and he would just he'd bring kitchen knives, bring whatever. And there was a time when I was young, I made pretty good of money going around all the little old ladies with my set. I had a bicycle with it up in a basket in front of it, and I'd go up, knock on the door, and want your kitchen knives sharpened for $1, and I'd 5 knives for $1, and they'd bring them out and watch me sit on the porch. I was like 10 years old, and I'd sit there on the porch and sharpen their kitchen knives for them, make $1. You know, hey, you earned a little money in those days. A nite, the dance revolver is actually a pretty nice revolver. My only concern is the fact that the recoil shield doesn't protect those caps as well. So I would recommend carrying it in a flap holster, because if you dropped it, there is nothing to keep it from landing in that corner and detonating the cap. And so that's the one thing. That's where you don't walk around or play with a capped cylinder. We had a thing at the shooting range back 5 years ago where a guy had him a 58 Remington, and he was going to do, the Clint Eastwood and swap cylinders real fast. And so, it wasn't part of a match. He was just showing off. And so he shot 6, he slapped that, and he went to pull out that other one, and it went out of his hand. Went whap, and when it did, it went. You know, one of the caps hit just right, and it detonated that chamber. Boom! He turned ash white on the spot. Didn't hit nobody, but he turned ash white. I was 2 bays down when it happened. And I happened to look up, and I hadn't seen him do it like 3 times. And I went, that dang fool is in he boom. So a cap cylinder is, I like the guns. I think I know they're historically accurate. They shoot well. There's nothing there not to like. But at the same time, just be mindful of that cap is only in a slight recess in that cylinder. And so therefore, that gun went sideways and hit. So put it in a flap holster. Jeff, finally, strop like that works very well. That's what every thing we always did was when a belt got no good for wearing, you'd end up putting a leather cord to string to it and hanging it up for being a strop for the knife. In fact, somewhere in here, I think over there, I've got my grandfather's razor strop from the 1930s. The leather is just completely disintegrated over the years, but I keep it as a memento of my granddaddy because when I was growing up a kid, that thing hung in the bathroom. And it was still a leather strop, and Granny would go get it to sharpen or to strop her kitchen knives. She'd sit down, take her shoe off, and hook the leather, the loop at the top, and a big toe would grip it, and she'd pull it tight, and she'd strop her kitchen knives with it. Anyone got an opinion on a H&R 1811 shotgun? Let me. I don't know about it. H&R made good shotguns, Tiny Titan. I don't know what that exact model is, but if it's a single shot or anything that H&R made, they were good shotguns. Working man, not high dollar, but good. Blackie, what do you think is better, a side-by-side double with one trigger or two? I prefer two, especially if I've got one that's a full and a modified choke, or both modified chokes. I prefer two triggers because I actually prefer to have one be a full choke and one be a modified. Because then I can judge for range instantly. So if it's a farther shot, I go with my full choke. If it's a closer shot, I go with modified. And being able to instantly select which trigger I want to go bang, I came up with rabbit ear double barrels, guys. I've shot percussion muzzleloader shotguns a lot, and so one or two don't really matter. I've done both, but I personally prefer double triggers. That's just me because I'm old school. Lauren, if there were only two knives, a stockman or a trapper? That's a good question. I'd probably go with a trapper. Just me. Because the trapper would have both of those, the two blades, and one being the spade blade, which is good for skinning, and the other one being the clip point, good for piercing and basic cutting. And although I like the stockman, I would get more utility actually out of the trapper than I would out of the stockman, and that reflects on the fact I have many trappers I got right now versus I think I got like 4 stockmen, maybe 5, and I think I got like 11 trappers. I mean, this is one of my old original stock that's a saber, that carbon steel blade from the 1950s that was in somebody's toolbox. They were throwing it away because these were the cheap $2 knives back in the day, and it's a high carbon steel blade, holds a razor edge. I still got that thing and use it. So Edgar, Becky, have you tried the stuff rolled up in a blanket pack? Yeah, like Civil War type blanket rolled. In fact, way back before I started doing playlists, I did a thing where I do a blanket roll and make the ox show you how you can fold it up and carry it on your back with a cord and stuff like that. I did a lot of that in living history using blanket rolls. Thank you very much for coming in, Baxter. Yeah, Brett, a lot of times you can take brake cleaner and spray in there, probably hard grease, holding it where it's not sliding. And you can just put spray brake cleaner up in there and it will get it broke loose, or just soak the snot out of it with WD 40 until it finally goes to working. Edgar, that's a personal choice. It's how you want to draw and do it. Diane, good evening. I was wondering if you were going to show up. Mitch bought Uplander side by side 12 gauge two trigger from pawn shop back in 2018. Still haven't shot it. Don't even know how it works. When you open it, it automatically cocks. The safety should automatically engage. When you look at the safety, will the safety shift left or right? If it's a single trigger gun, left or right will tell you which barrel goes first, whether it's left or right. And that way you can index it. If it's just two triggers, you won't do that. It's just safe on, safe off. See, and you'll have to flip off the safety to pull the trigger. When you look at it, one of the triggers will physically be further forward than the other. That is whatever barrel's in front of it. So if the left trigger with the gun facing away from you is further forward, that's for the left barrel. The right barrel is for the one further back. It may be, I have seen them reversed, but you'll figure out which one goes bang. You just load, click, point. The next question is, does it have ejectors or extractors? That means that when I open it, does it throw the empty shell out, or does it just pull it out so I can grab it and pull it? If it's an extractor, you open it and it just pulls it back and you reach down and pull it out. I prefer that. An ejector, you hit it and it goes punk and throws it out. Make sure you don't hit yourself in the face with it. So anytime you got to open it, angle it away from you so that if it does go punk, it throws it that way and it don't throw it at your face, which a lot of those Uplander guys that I hung around with and reloaded their own shells got real good at cupping their left hand over and they'd hit the thing, let the barrel drop and chunk, and they'd punch both shells up in their hand. They'd have the two empty shells, they'd put it in each pocket, and they'd pull out two loaded shells, but back, click, and go right back in it. They could shoot a double pretty impressively. Wicked Viking, thanks. Hey, he's trying to make his money. Go right ahead. You know, Michigan Silverback, glad to do it. Glad you're back in it. Edgar, cool. I used to fast draw a 51 Navy when I was 15 years old. Every night before going to bed, I'd get in front of the mirror and an unloaded 51 Navy, I'd fast draw 100 times to muscle memory train because I was wanting to hunt with it and I wanted to be able to come up on target in a hurry and get good with it. So I got to where I could do that. But we used to do the with 1911s. We used to do the 2-2-2 drill, two shots, two hits in 2 seconds at 10 yards. You put a half of a 3x5 index card up with a thumbtack, and you had to have from the holster, bring the gun up, two shots, two hits in under 2 seconds on that 3x5 index card. But that's when I was a lot younger and was doing such stuff. So I could do it with a 1911, a Browning high power, and I could do it in a little faster actually with a single action Army. But that was back in the day. I ain't got the eyes for it anymore. Can't see it. Thank you very much, Fred. Appreciate that. Yeah, Justin Mount Karen Outdoors. Fred, you too. Have a good night. We were, when you're hunting and doing for meat, you don't want to waste shells, and so you learn to pass up a touchy shot and take solid shots. You need kill it and drop it, because if it ain't dead, or if it gets in them leaves, or it goes into that hollow of that tree, you might as well have not even shot, because you just kill something, you ain't getting no food out of it. And it was about making food, and so we focused a lot on accuracy and reliability and speed. Get it quick, and make sure it's dead when it hits the ground. Jeff Conley, thank you, sir. Bang bang. How you liking your outlaw from Tony? I really like it. I just got it here recently, and I'm doing an introduction of it video that should post tomorrow, I think, where I just give you a look at it and etc. But yeah, I really like it. I'm not getting rid of my WC knife. I know what everybody's saying. No, I'm just trying out another design. But Tony, when I got to spend time with him up at Georgia Bushcraft, he had one of these, and I really liked it, and I wanted one. We worked out some money exchange and got me one, because I just think it's a great design. I really like it, and for a light handy, yeah. And I found out that the Condor sheath it fit in. I already had this sheath, so I didn't have to make one up. Of course, if it's me, it's going to have orange on it. So if it's survival gear, I want it to have orange on it where I can find it. Wiki Viking, how do you evaluate new knives? Like, do you do specific projects or anything like that? Okay. For a knife to be held in high regard for me, one, it's got to perform as a kitchen knife. It's got to be able to slice up tomatoes, onions, pickles, stuff like that, and not tear it all apart, meaning it's too thick. It's got to function like, because that's going to be the job more than anything else, is helping feed me. Two, it's got to be easy to sharpen. Three, for wood projects, it's got to have enough backbone and control for me to do uh, dingle sticks, trap parts, stuff like that, and not wear a hot spot on my hand. It's got to fit the hand well, where you don't have to concentrate on not rubbing a blister, and you can concentrate on doing your detail work. If it fits those criteria, pretty much. And so what I usually do is I start by just handling it. I've got so much experience with actually using a knife that a lot of times I can pick up a knife and just get a good feel of it, what it's going to be good at and what it's not going to be good at. And whenever I held the Outlaw up there, I knew I wanted to try one of these knives. It's got enough backbone. I can do shaving, actually put your thumb on there and bear down and shave, get that hard, dry, fat lighter where it's dry. I got to cut down to the good stuff, and it not flex. It's got to have enough backbone to do that. Have a good 90-degree spine. The tip has got to be a fine enough tip where I can use it for detail work. I don't do a lot of detail work, but when I do, there's very little I can do to substitute for it. I mean, you got to do it. I had somebody once tell me how to do big DKs, and he was saying, I don't see anything I can't do with this. I said, okay, you've got a splinter jammed in right there in your hand. Show me how you dig out a splinter with that 2x4. That thing will blunt on the tip. Great for batoning, but not for detail work. This has got a good detail tip on it. And so for a light duty knife where it's going to be teamed up with a bigger axe, saw, the chopping heavier tools, and this is going to be doing the food prep and doing the actual field work and stuff, yeah, that's a knife I want to play with, because that's kind of mindset I have with it. Anything a lot smaller than that doesn't want to use. Hey, then you're in pocket knife size. and I'm gonna bring out my EDC of my Swiss Army knife, do anything that small in detail, that teeny little blade on it. But anything else, I want that to be able to do. So that's just kind of like my criteria. I'll use it. I'll do it handling. I'll do it in the kitchen for a couple of days. I'll cut up meat. Hope loves it whenever I get a new knife because I'll go buy a whole chicken, want to cut up a chicken, or I'll go buy one of them big things and cut steaks. I'll go get a solid slab of bacon and slice our own bacon to see how it slices, how it draw cuts, how it does push cuts, stuff like that. And then I'll move over to the woodscraft part of it and see how it holds up. And so that's my little criteria because to me, that's what it needs to do in all of these various topics. I've seen a lot of knives that were, man, that thing is great 2x4. You know, yeah, you can baton anything with it. You can split fire with it. It's a great woods tool. Try to make a sandwich with it and slice meat up to make a sandwich or slice tomatoes up, and it just smashes it. It can't slice thin stuff. And what's the job of a knife? To be a knife. I want it as a kitchen knife. I want it as a woods knife. And I want it to have enough backbone to do these other projects. That's my personal little view of it. All right, grab that roach belly to it, which is perfect for the draw cut, man. Slicing bacon and stuff. I sliced up 4 pounds of bacon the other morning with it, where I got in the slides, went slicing bacon strips out of it. It'd be perfect, you know. I really like that. Edgar, if you want to learn to shoot at long range, let me tell you a little game. Get you a kitchen timer. Get you a cardboard box. Put you a paper plate on it. Just a regular old paper plate. Put that box out as far as you want to start at. Set your kitchen timer to 2 minutes. Put 5 rounds on that paper plate. Don't worry about a group. Just hit the paper plate. You did it? Fine. Great. Back it up another 50 yards. Reset the kitchen timer. When you hit where you're sweating blood to do it, or you can't do it in 2 minutes, you've reached your personal maximum range. And that's what you should be practicing at to get out to 1,000 yards. That's how I learned how to shoot at 1,000 yards with iron sights. I used to compete in the old military qualification match the NRA did back through the 80s, where it was out to 1,000 yards with iron sights. And I did it in 03A3 Springfield, out to 1,000 yards. I started with a cardboard box, a paper plate, and a kitchen timer. You can do, and I've had people that had no problem shooting 500 yards. I had people couldn't stay on that paper plate at 75. Start out, you know, it's just whatever their personal ability is. The gun's capable of throwing it that far, that accurate. It's how well you hold it, etc. And there are people that are just naturally good and gifted at it, and then there's people that aren't, and they got to work at it. So, is the gun holding you back, or is it like a skill holding? And so that's what I tell people to do. Start out there and find out what your personal distance is, and then work out there and see what you can do. I used to teach. I was a shooting sports instructor for a long time. Wolf HD, speaking of knife, I wish someone would teach my wife to slice thin onions and tomatoes for hamburgers. Get her a banjo. One of them slicing banjos. No effort to it. You make them thin those thin onions and tomatoes and everything else. Don't worry about a knife. Just teach her to do that. Jason, Black, have you ever been to the Black Powder Shoot in Friendship, Indiana? I have been up there, but I've never been up there during a shoot. I was part of the NMLRA and put on the Southeastern Rendezvous. And in my traveling, I went up there a couple of times where they were having events, but didn't have a shoot. So I have not been up there for the competitions or anything. Edgar, I am too. I carry one every day for a EDC as my Swiss Army knife field master. Wicked Viking, I carry a Bowie and as a good chopper, cutting edge. Been thinking of retro profiling it to make it a better chopper. What grind would you recommend? If it's going to be a chopper, what you got is pretty good. Don't go too thin. I don't want a razor sharp chopping knife. A thin edge is an easily damaged edge. I like a more robust edge. And even a lot of times on my WC knife, people have felt up and go, man, this isn't as sharp as I thought it'd be. Yeah, but I can go through gnarly oak and it won't dull it. It won't bend it or weave it or whatever. And I can take a knife to a razor edge and I can bear down with all my might trying to shave off some of that gnarly oak and you'll bend an edge. Where you look down, instead of it being straight, it's actually curved. And so I want as much meat, and especially for a chopping knife to use like a kukri, I want a more robust edge. And so I'm more likely to, instead of making it thinner, I'm more likely to blunt it out a little bit so it'll hit and split wood better than go in and stick. Thin sticks, thick busts. Justin, some of the Bowie knives are full time. I don't know which one that one is, but some are. Jeff Conley, the target was 6 foot by 6 foot at 1,000 yards, and the bullseye was a 8-inch circle, as I recall. They don't even do that match anymore. They quit doing that match in the mid 80s. It was really meant to be what military qualification was in World War One with the bolt actions, and it was called the Old Military Qualification Match. And that's what I competed in. I was in the high school rifle team, and I would go to Benning and compete in that. NRA did it. Even got a little medal, one marksman medals for it. But I competed out. It was 200, 400, 600, 800, 1,000 was the thing. There targets at each one of them, and the full set was 5 shots on a target at each one of them, if I remember right. It's been a long time. But had to do it with iron sights, no scopes. That's one of the reasons they quit doing it. There weren't any more old timers left coming up still wanting to shoot that old qualification match. And everybody wanted to use scopes at long range. So, it just fell out of practice. In fact, it was almost gone whenever I got into it. You had to request to be put on that list. Because when you went up there and was going to shoot, you had to tell them the old military qualification match. And then, okay, we got 3 people in that. And sometimes it'd be 8 or 9, But they did basically by 84, 85. I got out of high school in early 80s, and within like a year or two I getting out of high school, there just wasn't anybody competing in doing matches anymore. And then they just dropped it. So, which I understood. I moved on to, chasing girls and having a life myself at that point. Didn't have time to go to a shooting range. My eyesight right now is still good enough. I can see at 1,000 yards. I can't see at 36 inches in front of me. About right there is the depth, and my eyes just won't focus any closer. If I take these off, I can see everything, but all the writing over here just gone. It's just white dots. So I'm nearsighted, actually farsighted, and I have to put on glasses to see something up close. And so I can sit and tell you what's going on at 1,000 yards. But try to see your sights. So that's what now at my age is taking me out of long range competition, because I can see it. But I bring the gun up, I can't see my sights. And if I put glasses on to see my sights, then I can't see the target at beyond 100, 200 yards out. So That was my favorite line from Big Jake. Whenever the Indian shows up to John Wayne and he tells him he brought him a horse and everything, so he got no gun, and John starts to turn around, he comes back and goes, near or far? He says, near, eyes no good. And he turns around and hands him a double barrel shotgun, and he picks up his own and goes, me too. You know, I can't see out there anymore. I can see, I just can't see through sights. You give me a belt fed 50 cal, I'll dance it out there. I'll just walk it in. Somebody said that. What would you do to shoot at a target at 500 yards if you had a 50 cal? I just point, pull the trigger, and walk it to it like a water hose. I got all the ammo I want. I ain't worried about it. Well, I'm really blind in my right eye. I'm right-handed, but I have to shoot left-handed because I'm dominant left eye. Because this eye, when I was a child, I was helping an old man for about $1.50. I climbed up under his house with him, and we took used motor oil, kerosene, and something else, some sort of pesticide, and painted the floor on the underside of his house to keep termites out. And I dropped a dirt dauber's nest in that eye, and I went grinding, and I severely scarred up the lens on my right eye to when they went to finally in my 30s went and got glasses, and they said it was 20/8800 on that eye, and it was 20/10 on this eye. So 20/8800, 20/10. Yeah, but I have almost instant night vision in this one. So I can walk out there in the dark and just close my good eye, and suddenly I can see with my right eye. So I got sort of like a night owl eye, which has been a lot of fun in camping because we're all sitting around the fire and you ain't got no night vision. I'll turn around and walk off into the dark to do something or whatever. I'll just close my good eye, and with this bad eye, I can see well enough to walk. And everybody else is tripping all over everything because how does Blackie do it? He's got an owl eye. So, part owl. Oh, Jeff Conley. Oh, heck no. I ain't getting no bifocal, dude. These are off the shelf magnifiers. I ain't, no. I'm already in the 60s. I ain't worried about it. Yeah, wicked if I can use the force. It's what I have to do a lot of times when I was doing my percussion videos. You never knew because there'd be some mornings I'd get up and I'd go look at their target and blood pressure be up. And here's how you can tell. Look at a white wall or go get you one of them big old white poster boards and put it up and focus in the middle of it. And if it does like that, it means that your blood pressure is causing the veins in the back of your eye to jump with your heartbeat. Well, that's the screen that you're reading off of. And so your eye is hitting a screen that's jumping. And so you trying to sit there and doing precision work with sights, forget it. It's just blurry in and out. And so I'm sitting there trying to shoot a video for you guys, trying to shoot targets, and I'm having to use the force. I really could, even with my glasses on, I couldn't see the sights. I'm just use the force and center it up. So me running them plates and everything, I might as well not be using sights. That's just years of practice, experience, muscle memory, and kind of use the force to know where the thing should go because I couldn't see sights well enough. Charles Martin, yeah, that now the screen not even, and so it's like that. Getting depth perception, trying to focus for precision depth perception is going to be tough. Oh yeah, M134, yeah, that run a day. But when I was young, I had really, really, I mean, 2010 in this left eye. I could see fine, precise detail. But being right handed, I had to train myself to shoot left handed. And so I shot a rifle left handed, but I shot a handgun and a shotgun right handed because I could just look over the barrel with this eye enough to shoot a shotgun. The reason I'm not a great wing shooter, I'm adequate at best, but I'm good with the shotgun, but I'm just not good at wing flying targets with it. Uh, in fact, my wife is better than me. And not long after we got married, um, an ex-boyfriend of hers, which is a family friend, was having a dove shoot in the field, and she wanted to go. So I took her out there, and I sat her down on a bucket in front of me and gave her her single shot shotgun, and I sat behind her, and I'd tap her, right hand side 10 o'clock high, and she'd look up, you know, left hand side low coming in toward you, and I'd give her commands, and she'd spin in. Well, uh, she limited out in 45 minutes with that single shot on dove. And when he held the next dove shoot 2 weeks later, the first thing everybody said was, "That little pudgy girl isn't coming back, is she?" Because they didn't want to compete against her because everybody else got like 2 or 3 birds and she maxed out. If it got in range, she nailed it. She was just naturally good at shooting a shotgun at a flying target. And she beat me with a shotgun on flying targets. I'll beat her with a rifle or a handgun any day of the week, but she'll beat me with a shotgun on flying targets. I'll give her that one. Oh, Shane, you're correct. Feeding even those things, any kind of real high end gun like that, you can't feed it. You got to be a multi-millionaire to feed something like that because it'll go through as much ammo in moments that you'd want to pay for and out of a month's salary. And a buddy of mine, um, his dad had a Thompson 45 CP Tommy gun, and me and him would load ammo every night after school. And then the deal was we got to burn one mag on Saturday afternoon each. Stick mag, 20 or 25 or 30 round stick mag each out of that fully automatic Thompson if we had load ammo. And so me and him loaded every night after school at least 2 hours. Building up this his daddy's larder, how many 45 ACPs he wanted loaded. And we ran the snot out of a Dillon press, I'm here to tell you. And you'd go up and you could hold the trigger and it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's yours. That was it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 25 shots. It's over. And that's what I did all week to get to do that. It didn't take me long to figure out this was a losing proposition, because he got all the other ammo. And so he was getting 400 and 500 rounds every week to put into the locker for us to go out and burn a total of 50 rounds. So, yeah, that was a good deal for him. He's buying all the components, but we're doing all the labor. So I got to where I went to squeezing them all. I flipped that sucker down. I'd shoot it, single shot so I could have some time on the cans and stuff with it. Yeah, Chuck. Now you put a lot down range, but you got to remember this: you become the focus of everybody's attention the second you open up. As the one disadvantage of them things is you become everybody's next, you know, most interesting person on the field at that moment is you. So make sure you got lots and lots of friends. we got, all right, we've been on an hour and 24 minutes. We got a few minutes left. Anybody else got any questions they want to throw? Oh, cool, James. Powder Valley has RWS caps. Awesome. Thanks for the info. I've got about 1,000 caps, but I want to pick up some more because, like I said last week, from what I understand, the manufacturer making them in runs in June and July is when they were actually running them. So they now should be showing up on the shelves. And so if you want to get some, enough time to get them, because once that supply runs out, it'll be next year before they make more. So. Okay, Edgar, gun cotton question. What is gun cotton? It was a early type of repellent that was used, whereas nitrocellulose they put into basically a cotton-like stuff put in shells. It was used in artillery and everything. It was almost always corrosive. I have heard that some modern things are trying to kind of revive the idea of it. Its advantage was it was very stable in a cartridge, and it filled it up tight from front to back, and so it made it very stable and consistent. The disadvantage to it was very corrosive at the thing, and so gun cotton back in the day was used in 2 or 3 British. I believe they even loaded 4570 for it for just a little bit of time with gun cotton. Sometimes it was listed as nitro cotton, but it was nitrocellulose impregnated cotton to detonate, and it could be very sensitive to pressure. And that's one of the reasons the armies of the world got away from it, was heat and other things could affect, and you could get to where it was just not stable when it got hot. So. Okay, Edgar, if you have a modern high pressure breech loader, can you make gun cotton work in it? Possibly. Um, I understand what it is, but I have not done any research with it, or have I done any experiments with it myself. So I can't say absolutely, but I would say in theory, yeah, I'm pretty sure you could. The question is, though, what is good and what is too much? And that will require someone with a lot more information than me to tell you what's right and wrong. So I will refrain from any further involvement in that, because I just can't tell you. I'll just give you the best I can with it and then tell you that's it. Yes, I believe it could be made to work, but you got to work out all those details, and it's risky. Bushcraft with the preacher, wait for some number 11s. Yeah, like I said, I'm checking around, and the guy said some of those are available. I usually use Mid South or Mid South Shooter Supply or Midway USA and a couple other places. So I got to just start looking local. I got a local gun shop that orders from me every so often. See if he'll put in an order next time he's going to do and get me some caps. Mitch, Blackie, what's the biggest animal you had to field dress and skin to eat? A full grown cow, a big bull. An animal that had to be put down. And so after it put down, it fell to me to clean it. And because wouldn't you know it, that whenever it happened, I was the one that had to put it down. And then everybody here was women, little bitty old women or whatever. And so, yeah, they'd help, but I had to do all the heavy labor. And so I had to clean an entire bull. And that was a job. Edgar, even a small bullet, they have such power. They have no trouble throwing us around like a rag doll. We think we're kind of powerful, but when we're on our feet and braced, we got a lot of lifting capability. Side to side, we got nothing. We don't have a wide enough stance. And so I remember the first time I ever had a hold a cow's tail where we had him in a squeeze sheet and they're all inoculating. He just wants to sit down. And so they told me to hold his tail up, so not let him sit down. And so you got a tail about that big around. I got it over my shoulder, and I'm putting every bit of power I can to it. And he just picked his legs up, and he weighed nearly 350 pounds. So it didn't take that long before I went with him. So, yeah, a cow will throw you around, horse will throw you around, billy goat will throw you around if you ain't careful. Jeff Conley, good night, sir. I was about 12 years old, and I got the bright idea that I'd grab hold of the ram by the horns and just back him up into that stall. Yeah, like he got an education. He dumped that head, he ran forward, and he flipped me backwards over, and I hit the ground. He was already spun around. He had that head butt against me and my small of my back and was just pushing me across that gravel parking lot. I got an education. Well, guys, it's been an hour and a half. We're going to call it a little early tonight because I still got to clean up the kitchen. Twisted Star. Yes, I go live on Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Central Time is what I typically do. So next week, we will, sure. Yeah, next week. I will go live on 7 p.m. Central Time. Usually it's an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that is when I do it. Good night to everybody. Thank you very much for everything y'all do, all your comments and everything. I greatly appreciate it. And there'll be more videos coming up soon. So hang in there. Till next time, guys, I'm Blackie, wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.